This is the Seahawkers podcast, live post-game reaction show. I'm Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by my good buddy Adam Emmert as the Seahawks take an L today to the stupid Los Angeles Rams, 21-19. Did I say something wrong there?
Yeah, you said the Seattle Seahawks lost to the Rams, and that's a weird way to pronounce Sam Darnold.
Yeah, well,
because the Seattle
I do
Seahawks,
believe that he is still a member of our team.
The Seattle Seahawks, the rest of the Seattle Seahawks is, coaching, all the other offensive players, especially the defensive players, they played a heck of a football game. They played a great football game.
Yeah, Jason Myers, I could have used just slightly better of a game from him at the end. Like, he could have made up for it all. Like, I don't expect him to make a 61-yarder. Like, I was hopeful, and I knew that, like, he has the potential to do it. But so it could have all been alleviated. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been alleviated. We'd still be talking about all of the things that led up to what ended up being like a potentially winnable game. Just too many mistakes and not able to overcome them. Although, oh my gosh, Adam, like the defense did their very best at allowing us to stay into this football game.
Mike Macdonald, he did the job that he was brought into Seattle to do, and that was to literally shut down Sean McVay's offense completely and totally. The vaunted 13 personnel that they seemingly had invented, according to the rest of the national media. It did. Can I tell you something shit.
On the 13 personnel thing? Yeah. It wasn't about halfway into the first quarter, and my wife looks at me and she's like, "What the F is 13?"
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't do anything this game. The defense gave up 7 legit points. Sam Darnold gave up another 14 off of 2 of his 4 super back-breaking picks. Look, the analysis of this game isn't going to be all that complicated, folks. The rest of the team is either championship level or close to championship level, and the quarterback simply isn't. It's just where it is. And
it's not just this game. It's not, because this is something that, unfortunately, we've seen for the last few weeks, and it's kind of one of the reasons why we talked about it so much going into this game, that this is the type of game we needed to see the opposite of Sam, of what he'd been doing, because it's these types of games that then you're going to face come playoff time, and you can't have meltdowns like this, because this is exactly the result that you get. And, gosh, I mean, there's a lot that you could say could have also fixed it just based on their red zone performance, based on maybe even some of the urgency late in the game. Shoot, I know you sung Mike Macdonald's praises there a little bit, but to start this game, the defense wasn't completely there. There was a lot of missed tackles to start this game, and we saw one 75-yard drive from the Rams. And really, the other 2 touchdowns were off of short fields and turnovers, but there were tackling issues early on that led to those early points.
And they still smothered the shit out of the Rams. So, like, when you say, did Mike Macdonald do his job in this game? Yes. Now, did they have some really poor tackling in the first quarter? Without question. But from that point forward, it was lights out. And the defense did everything that they could, including a nice punch out by Kobe in the game. After, I think he was maybe the worst defender at bad tackling for the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
He had a couple really bad ones and some terrible angles, but came back, rallied, punched it out, and gave the offense yet another chance to get into this football game that we just squandered away. And it's tough because it's not just the 4 picks, and we can go through the 4 picks and give it a little bit more context at some point.
Before we talk more about Sam, let's mention the real MVP Sam Gelder.
That's true.
Coming in with a $12 super chat. Such an annoying game. I think it's just a fact we have a quarterback that can win and lose because of, and I think that's one point to also make in this, is with those 4 turnovers, I know that after that 4th one, there were a lot of Seahawks fans saying, why is Darnold still out there? Get him out of this game after 4 picks. The fact that he did have the ability after one of the most amazing punts that we've seen from a Rams team that
just
was unbelievable.
Different.
Yeah, and went out at the 1 yard line, and you're going, oh my gosh. But the fact that he was able to then, Sam Darnold, lead us into what became field goal range and it at least gives something for him to look back on this game and say, hey, that's the type of quarterback that I want to be, one that puts my team in position to win at the end of a game, and he kind of got there. Okay, well, look, if you're a player and you're looking at it through an optimistic lens, you say, yeah, I could do that because I did.
Sure. Look, delusion comes in all sorts of forms, and that would be one of them. At the end of the day, whether it was Kubiak or Darnold, when it came to that last drive, the urgency just wasn't there. Like, they needed to be going a little quicker. It was just too calm in the moment. And then the second to the last place, Sam scrambles around for just way too long. You got to understand where you're at in the game. Get the ball out of bounds. But he had a problem throwing the ball away all day. And
Sam was playing like he had his retirement fund on not taking a sack.
Yeah, right. But if you're going to do that, you can throw it at the feet of people. You can throw it in the ground. You don't have to throw it to the guys dressed in black. Like, you don't have to do that. And that's the thing about the interceptions is, like, the first one, he's backpedaling and he's fading away. He's late and then tries to drive it into Kupp, who can't separate. And it's an easy pick. Like, so what the pass pro was pretty clean on that. He held the ball for too long, gets a little pressure from his left side, which he kind of drifts into on top of that, then tries to drift away from it, throws off his back foot late, and it's an interception. That's god awful. You can't do that as a professional starting quarterback. Like, that's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, he was locked on him too long, and the defender was watching his eyes the whole way.
Yeah, there's so many freaking picks in this game. I can't remember each and every one of them exactly perfectly. Which one was the second, Brandon? Which one was the second? Let's talk about that one.
Oh, gosh. We don't need the chat to help us out with which one the second one was. We've got Ryan 911, our live executive producer, coming in with a $9.99 super chat saying, "Go Hawks. Defense was incredible." And yes, that was the positive takeaway, is that our Seahawks defense, incredible in this game. The fact that they held Matt Stafford, who had been on an MVP tear this season, they held him under 5 yards per attempt. So as I buy time to try and look up when the second interception was,
let's talk about Stafford's performance while you're doing that. Yeah. So look, Stafford had a poor game, and he missed a bunch of throws because the defensive front four was able to generate pressure almost the entire game. And then towards the end of the game, when Leo just planted Stafford after he tried to push the ball down the field a little bit on a third down, you could see, like, the give up was there for Stafford. And the defense sucked the will out of this LA offense. And it was a delight to watch. The defense was an absolute delight. I mean, you can't be more fired up about that. I mean, it's just amazing to have a 4-turnover game in which the defense is put on the 3 after the first one, and then down in the red zone after the second one, and they still manage to get it to a last-second, 99.9 yard field goal attempt from Mars for Jason Myers. Like, look, I'm not mad at J-My. Like, that's a long-ass kick, and if he could have got it, great. But what, him kicking that field goal, 20%? 20% chance at best?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Sam Gelber saying that the second one was the Sam Darnold throw to JSN. That would have been an INT even if he was getting hit.
Oh, say it again?
Second was the sideline to JSN. That would have been an INT even if he was getting hit. So I think he's saying Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that was the out to JSN that he just stared down the entire time. Hit his back foot. That's when you're supposed to throw it. You might have got it there. Waits another beat for, like, no reason. Then he gets a little bit of pressure, so he can't step into it completely. And the DB just completely jumps out. It's awful. It wasn't on time. It was a guy who was completely covered. And you can't throw outs late. You just can't do it. You can't do it. Like, that's atrocious quarterback play.
You can't throw outs late. You can't throw into double coverage when the tight end Arroyo isn't even looking back for the football. And I don't know whether that was
that the Was that the third? Yeah, that would be the third one to over the middle there where he threw into triple coverage, not just double coverage, triple coverage when he had Barner. Oh, that was the other thing on the JSN pick. Barner's coming across on an in-breaker, crosses the linebacker's face. He is wide-ass NFL open.
Yeah.
And then on the one that he pushes into triple coverage, same thing. Wide-ass NFL open, Barner cutting across the middle. You just got to get off that read and get it to the next one. But he seemed to get stuck, and he was just so slow processing in this game. I don't know what it was, because let's say it again. The pass pro was legitimately good for this game.
Yeah.
It was really good.
So, and that's the unfortunate thing about it is that, and that's one of the things that we've seen all year is we've seen good pass protection, and it's one of the things that has allowed the Seahawks to attack downfield. And the Rams did a really good job of taking away a lot of that downfield stuff in this game. And it felt like Sam was a little bit determined to try and hit some of those big shots, which I think is some of what got him into trouble late in the season with the Vikings too. And when his line started to deteriorate, he had played that entire season where he had looked for a lot of those deep downfield shots. And so it was like he was conditioned then to continue to look for those deep throws. And it's one of the reasons why like he has that ability to dominate games like we'd seen in the weeks leading up to this, despite giving up some turnovers. So, I was at least, I guess maybe before we get into the final interception, we can talk about how maybe they could have run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah,
that seemed to be working relatively well. We got some nice explosives and over 100 yards between Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet.
Well, yes, they did run the ball pretty darn effectively when they did it. And, you bring up explosives in the run game and idiot Greg Olsen. Dude, he's unlistenable. He just couldn't be more wrong about more things like throughout the entire freaking broadcast. The guy's a fucking moron when he talks about the Seahawks, like them getting all freaked out at the end of half.
He's about 50-50. There's some times where I agree with him.
Okay. I mean, maybe I wasn't drunk enough, but he was just terrible all game. But where was that coming from? Oh, the run game. He was talking about, that's the mark of a great run game is explosives. No, it isn't, dumb fuck. You know what a good run game is about? It's being able to chunk out 3 to 4 yards at a time, no matter what the defense does, and grind them into a pulp and keep you in third and shorts if that's what you have to do. If you get some explosives alongside of it, fantastic. That's the mark of a great run game. Not like 2 explosives a game and then get bottled up the whole time. And then every time the Hawks would get like a 2-3 yard gain on a run, he's blowed up in the backfield, or like they're always saying something about them not actually having a positive play. It was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I couldn't stand it.
I hate to be the one to defend Greg Olsen. I believe the point that he was trying to make with the good run game portion and the explosives is that defensive coordinators will take those 3 and 4 yard chunk plays, but it's those explosives. If they're continuously giving up explosives on a defense, then that's what's going to switch them out of nickel and into more of a heavy personnel to try and slow down the explosives. And so maybe if it didn't come across that way, I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah, well, he needs to talk better then, because at the end of the day, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm consistently getting chewed up 3 to 4 yards a chunk on the ground game, those are first downs. All they have to do is turn around and hand the ball off to the back and just stay on schedule. Like that's death. You can't live there. Like I don't think any D coordinator is excited about that.
And Greg was right, as Northwest Gambit saying. He was right about the clock management there at the end. He actually came off of his stance about going for it versus taking a field goal at the end of the first half for the Seahawks. Like, you take the points at the end of the first half, it makes sense. But one of the other things that he pushed continually was the idea of trying to go more often, especially as you get inside the red zone. And when you look at the potential difference in this game, you think, gosh, the Seahawks have 4 red zone appearances where they end up taking 4 field goals. Even if you convert and do 50%, then it's a tie game at the end versus being down a couple points.
Shit, if you just score on one of those possessions down there, you win the football game.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to. I was totally cool with them kicking the field goal at the end of the first half. I think too many coaches eschew points for analytics, and I think that would have been a crazy idea there. I'm glad that Greg hit his head and came around on that one eventually. But what the red zone is a massive issue in this game. As much as we talk about Sam's 4 picks, and we'll talk about it more because there's more meat on that bone, the red zone efficiency was awful. We got down there and started throwing the ball too much. And you asked about, should we have run the ball more? And the answer is definitively yes. We were getting, nickel dime defense pretty much the entire game. And they're going to do that, especially when you're running the ball effectively. I mean, there was at one point late in the second half, K9 was still averaging over 5 yards a carry, and we go away from it. Like, what are we doing? Like, just get down in the freaking run the rock. That's the entire point. And then you take the pressure off of Sam, and then you get into play action more, which means maybe the reads are a little bit more open so that Sam isn't making boneheaded mistakes. Like, it was just bad. Car and I talked a little bit about this in Discord, but I'm glad she came in with the super chat here, and I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, Carly coming in at $9.99. I'm not out on Darnold yet, but I sure am concerned. D was great. We got the run game going. And even with the 4 picks, we almost won it. If we don't beat the Rams in a few weeks, I'm going to lose it. And that's what's so frustrating coming out of this game is when you dominate in so many other areas and you feel like, okay, this is what all Sam has to do is like not throw one of those 4 picks, and this team is in much better position to win this game. And yeah, if they run the football a little more, and gosh, I was ready after the 4th pick for Kubiak to do another one of those things where he just continually and stubbornly runs the ball. And it probably would have been the way to go on that 3rd and 3 where they end up having to punt it late in the game where, it was a 3rd and short, and they had been really successful on running the ball on 3rd and short, and they got away from it. They throw a pass. Sam gets pressured and ends up, I think, throwing it out of bounds. And I think
the possession later in the game
quarter,
too, where they get stuffed on the tush push and then ended up punting from that situation as well, which was
what did you think about that? After a 3rd and 1 tush push with Barner, where they got a little bit cute and didn't have all their guys in there, I think I was ready to just like roll it right back and say, stop it again a second time.
Or run something different. Like, because the first tush push that they converted on, that was no gimme. Like, he barely slithered through there. The Rams had a nice plan for that. So it was time to go to something different. I would have liked to see him go for it there. I'd like to have seen them run the football a little bit more. And you talk about, well, if Sam doesn't throw one of the 4 picks, we probably win this game. Okay, that's cool. Let's say he still throws the 4 picks. You know how else we win this football game? If you lead Shaheed a little bit further in the end zone instead of making him slow down for that ball and let the defender back in the play. That's a bad ball. He misses that by 5 yards. By 5 yards. Like, throw it to the back pylon. So not only the 4 picks, but then you leave a touchdown on the field because you can't just put enough air under it and let your guy run under it. That was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. Looking at the box score for this game, the Seahawks lead time of possession 37 minutes to the Rams 22.
You have to win this game.
26 first downs and 7 of 16 on 3rd down conversion while holding the Rams 2 for 11. Those are all winning numbers. And when you look at the turnovers, that's not a winning number. But looking at the box score, Matt Stafford, 15 of 28, 130 yards. He did have the 2 touchdowns. I wanted to point this out too, Adam, because you were on this idea that they would be able to shut down Devontae Adams. And holy smokes, did they do that? 1 of 8. He did have the touchdown catch against Tariq Woolen, but good route and good throw. But 1 of 8 to Devontae Adams on the day.
Yeah, they really did shut him down. And honestly, they kept Puka pretty quiet for the most part today. He didn't go off. Kyron Williams had the 1 big run on the 4th and 1 early in the game, and not a lot else after that. The defense was absolutely dominant. They were championship level dominant in a massive moment on the road. And they just needed to not play the opposite of complimentary football, like insult football, like, which is what Sam was doing, turning the ball over a couple times, just so far deep in your own territory that it made it almost impossible.
250 total yards, as Reed Go Hawks is saying on the screen. Samuel Gelber also saying Darnold also underthrew Kupp early, close to the red zone. He was bad, and there has been shades of this in previous games against the teams they stomped. And that's the one thing that is nice about blowouts, is that if you get up to these early leads, then you can you don't have to worry about how much impact some of these turnovers have. And it was something that we'd seen in previous games, but man, oh man, it showed up this week, and yeah, very frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating. Look, when we made the QB swap this offseason and I threw a fit and everybody made fun of me, and they've been making fun of me all season so far because Darnold had played really good football for the most part, like B+ football, because you do take into account, what has it been? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 out of the last 6 games he's thrown an interception, let alone the fumbles. He damn near fumbled another one this week. Like, it's bad. Like, the turnover end of things, the clutch performances, this was the thing that I said when they brought in Sam Darnold that I was terrified of. He's always been bad in big moments. And look, I know Karkar says she's not out after this one game, and I know a lot of Hawks fans won't be, and that's totally fine. You don't want to be out
because there's still a season left.
This is all I'm going to say, is that there's been 3 big games. He's 0-3 in them. I take one off the board, the Rams game in the playoffs. He had no shot in that game. The defensive line was decimated. So in actuality, he's had 2 big games with a competent offensive line, competent play caller, in a real live shot where he has been the one who's melted down. And so if there's a third one of these, I will be officially out. But at this point, I'm 95% out. Like, this is it's just too much history.
It is tough when you're 7-3 to be that frustrated about quarterback and VSA. And so just curious, you defend Geno, and yet he threw a game with 4 interceptions, 2 games with 3. Why is it okay for Geno, but not Sam? And this is the first Sam game like this.
Okay. I wanted to, I'm glad I popped in, because we were talking about this in the Discord a little bit. And look, there's no secret. He and I just see the game completely differently on 1,000 levels. So that's just kind of a starting point. But we look at this game today, and when Geno was throwing 4 picks, it was usually because there was dudes in slap. He was the guy last year who had the most quick pressure on him in the entire league. He was under duress the entire time with an OC who was complete hot garbage and an offensive line that was even worse. Like, it was just so bad, the situation. So if all you have is you throwing the football, as it was when Geno was in town, because that's all the offenses was, couldn't run the football, we couldn't pass protect. And sure, we had great receivers, and that was the only reason between Geno and the receivers that we were able to do anything. Plus, you're making up for a terrible defense those first couple of years that Geno was here. So at the end of the day, all these interceptions are not created equal. Sam had good time on all 4 of these picks. He stared them down, all 4 of these picks, except for the last one, the jump pass one, where he panicked and threw it into a tight zone that was basically double coverage. That's 4 boneheaded ones. Like, sometimes on some of these Geno ones, be a tip here, a bad bobble there, stuff like that, or he'd have pressure right in his face, or, just some or a guy makes a great play. None of that was the case with these plays for Darnold in this game. They were all god-awful interceptions. And that's why it was a little more okay for Geno to do that, because there were reasons, whereas in this case, he just sucked. That's it.
Yeah, and the ones that were really terrible with Geno, I feel like we called out pretty well. Like, like the ones that were in the red zone where he just threw to the defender for no reason. And so I feel like we're pretty consistent on calling out the really bad interceptions. But
absolutely,
DJ Nichols coming in saying this performance was what every doubter was concerned about, and he just further strengthened the narrative against him. I think it's a mistake to write this off as one bad game. We have some consistency. It really is what you end up being concerned about when it comes down to Sam Darnold in the playoffs. But as a Seahawks fan, we can always hope that he turns it around when there's other big games.
And I'll let every 12 manage how much hope they want to put into that than anybody else. And back to the discussion here just real quick. I also don't kill Sam for the interception he threw the week prior when Barner gets pushed into him and the helmet hits the ball as he's beginning to come through on his motion. That's a tough one. That's just a tough break. And I mean, you can disagree. You're just dead wrong. That's the only problem with it. And look, this was borderline lose your job level quarterback play, in my opinion.
Borderline. It's talk about it. It's in the discussion for sure, but I just don't know what you would move on to that would be that much better at this point. Another very concerning thing, as the Snail's pointing out, Gray Zabel getting imaging on his knee. Not sure if Bob Condotta being positive, but it sounds like an MRI to me. Looked like he was in a lot of pain when he went down with his knee, and we saw Christian Haynes come in. It wasn't great, but maybe, hopefully Gray hasn't gone for very long.
And that's just at the insult to injury, right?
Yeah.
And, the rookie that's come in and right at the end of the game, I mean, all of us, thoughts and prayers, all that stuff, right? Like, hopefully Zabel's going to be okay here, and we don't miss him for the rest of the year, because immediately, was it Haynes that came in? He's 64, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like almost immediately gets blown up in pass pro on one of the first plays he's got to block, and it's just not good without him. It's going to be bad.
JSN did his job tonight. He caught 9 passes on 12 targets, 105 yards. He continues his 100-yard per game streak. AJ Barner, a really good game too. 10 catches on 11 targets, 70 yards. Got to see K9 catch a couple passes out of the backfield. Shaheed, 2 catches on 5 targets, 27 yards. And defensively, I know we had Clinton pointing out D-Law. We got to see a really nice DeMarcus Lawrence game. On the stat sheet, he's just in for a couple tackles. He didn't have a sack, but he was in the backfield a lot for a lot of pressures. Byron Murphy, I know we saw him have a tackle for a loss and have a real nice game where he was blowing up some plays. So I think we could run down the list of defenders and only point out like a player or two here that came at a really bad time. But the defense overall, like, again, when you go back and you look at that time of possession number for the Rams, like, the defense did their job more than anything.
Holy schmoly, 249 total yards here. You dominate time of possession. You just snuff the life out of the LA Rams offense. You make Stafford scared. You've got that whole offense shaking so much that they basically penalized themselves out of their last couple drives because they were worried about what the Seahawks were bringing on D. The defense was a delight to watch, an absolute delight.
Nwosu had a great game, as DJ Nichols pointing out.
Heck yeah. So what does he got? Nwosu stopping Kyron dead in his tracks during the final Rams drive was great to see. This is a Super Bowl caliber defense. 1,000% yes. Offense just needs to capitalize on turnovers and big stops. I mean, that great call here, DJ. And yeah, I mean, we can put Sam aside now. That's done. We got it out.
But let's go to one of our other favorite topics, like Noof Guy's bringing up. Lack of offensive line depth will continue to haunt the Seahawks, and that's the one part with Zabel going down that you go, man, oh man, like to this point, we had been doing enough to get by, and now we've seen Sandell go down. He's going to be out for multiple weeks, and now who knows about Zabel? This is the point where you go, oh man. They really could have done more in the offseason, and then I would be just like they have depth at so many places in the secondary, and we're getting into the okay, now if Sam's going to be facing pressure because of offensive line depth, it's going to make this a really tough couple weeks if it ends up being more than a week or so for Zabel.
Well, I went and I got the backhoe out. I dug up the dead horse that I've been beating for a while. I threw it back out on the front lawn. I got my baseball bat out. Look, I'm glad we gave $15 million to a guy who can't run and can't get separation when we could have brought in another guard. I mean,
it would have been just fine if we would have got this win, because just the smell of McVay's hair gel would have been enough to get the win. It wasn't. And so now you're going to crush him. I understand.
Yeah, it wasn't. And he was a non-factor the entire game until the very end, when the Rams fall into soft zone and just weren't covering him underneath. And it's like, oh, here you go. Here's a freebie because we care about you, I guess, or something. Cup was terrible.
I liked hearing the Coop chants in L.A.
I didn't. I fucking hate the Rams. I hate LA. I hated it when they did it.
I think there were Seahawks fans that were making those Coop chants. So,
are we sure?
I don't know.
Just whatever. But you're right about the offensive line, man. Yeah, I mean, we could really use the extra guard right about now. It'd be a big deal.
Yeah,
be a big deal.
That's money that they could have spent, because there were guards available with $15 million worth of cap space. So
for sure. Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's a lot of people that still love Coop. I know Splash Zone there in the comments, and you're welcome to. That's fine. You can certainly do that.
It's okay for everybody to love Coop. You can love Cooper Kupp, even if you're a Rams fan still, whether you're a Seahawks fan now. It's just everyone has to understand. Adam has this Eastern Washington University bias as a Montana Grizzly alum. So this goes back longer than just Kupp with the Rams. This is a long-term thing. It's going to. I don't know if he's ever going to get there, to be honest. But
where to like a guy who sucks balls now? No, thank you. Get him off the team. Got more Shaheed.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him finish off his career in a positive way, and hopefully he can do that. And hopefully we get the next win coming up against the Rams, because we're going to be facing them again in another couple weeks, Adam.
We are. Unfortunately, it's a Thursday night game, and those get weird, especially divisional Thursday night games. But
maybe weird will be good for this team.
Maybe. And on top of all of that, look, that game, the upcoming one, probably not the last time we see this team, because despite this loss, whether or not we win this division, I do believe we make the playoffs, because you only have to go, 4 out of your last 7 here to get to 12 wins, and that's a lock.
Yeah.
That's a lock. Or 11 wins, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Seahawks fall to 7-3. They are still in range for the playoffs. They still have a game coming up against the Niners. They have a game coming up against the Rams, and we've got some other tough opponents down the stretch that we're going to have the opportunity to be tested by, as hopefully we continue on down toward the playoffs. Yes, the Seahawks fall to 7-3 to the 8-2 Rams. 21-19 is the final score. But Adam, we've got the Titans coming up in 7 days, and it's crazy. I can't believe we've only got 7 days before we're in Nashville. Well, less than that, before you and I are in Nashville.
Dude, that's going to be more fun than a person should be allowed to have. I love the matchup. I think we could come away from that game with a victory. We should. And I've never been to Nashville, so that's going to be a ton of fun. Get to see my buddy Alec, who lives out there, and then all the rest of you little flockers that are going to be there. It's going to be a great time, and it really will help wash the taste of this game out of our mouth, I think, at least a little bit.
Go on the road, get a win over the Tennessee Titans, and we don't even have to feel bad for them, because Quandre Diggs no longer on the team, Tyler Lockett no longer on the team for the Titans, so we can just go wipe the floor, move on, and be happy then as our Seahawks move on to 8-3 and go into the month of December with the start of a winning streak.
1,000%. And look, it's not a big game. Sam will be awesome.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.